Getting started, checking all the feeds. We're seeing that, see how this look. Oh, okay, there we go. That's looking a little better. Making sure we're on all the right places. You want to be on all the right places, don't you? Okay. Well, seems that we are. People will start showing up here very soon, I'm sure. Hey, if you're watching the VOD later, the video on demand, give this thing a like, a thumbs up. Maybe we'll get more viewers here. There we go. Yeah, good. Thumbs it up, please. All right. Okay. Well. And Sing is here. Well, I'm doing very well, Sing. And how are you? I hope things are going well with you and your family. I hope that is doing well and... Well. Let's start making an episode because we're going to be doing stuff here. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and that's all the resources there. Here, and I'm playing Hearts of Iron 4's Black Ice. And hey, if it's not welcome back, if it's welcome, hopefully I earn your subscription. And everybody, it really helps if you can give this video a thumbs up. Now, I want to say a few, well, at least one thing. I may get into some other topics here before we get going. Before starting this episode and starting the stream, I spent about 10-15 minutes going along looking at the front line and issuing orders. I am definitely playing this game way too fast for playing it well. And everyone should keep that in mind. It's not just some defense for things not going well. It's just I'm trying to keep everything flowing. And I'm hearing that Sing got conjunctivitis. I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what that is, but sorry to hear you're not doing well. I hope you get better, and very soon. So just keep that in mind, that it takes... you should really dig into this game and get going with this. So, I think since we just started having let the clock roll, some of these things will adjust here in a moment. But it looks like we have 2 free military factories. So, look at our current needs. Currently, okay, armored recovery vehicles. I don't think I've researched anything in that realm. Germany had... virtually... well, oh yeah, virtually no armored recovery vehicles as produced. Now they had vehicle. They used a lot of prime movers. Do we have a good example of? Yeah, prime movers like these artillery tractors to recover armored vehicles. These aren't armored vehicles, so they're not armored recovery vehicles. Viral conjunctivitis, commonly known as eye flu, is an infection that causes red eyes, itching, inflation of the... okay, yeah. Monsoon season. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Saying hopefully it's something you'll get over soon. That doesn't sound fun. So they definitely recovered armored vehicles, most assuredly. But as built, Germany had virtually no armored recovery vehicles. I don't think, again, as built or as a major factory conversion, either one. Um, I think really only we see that in World War II at any sort of scale is the US. I don't know whether they were old vehicles sort of converted and refurbished or end of production. Well, what do we do with these vehicles now that they're no longer wanted to be used as proper tanks? Being the Grants, the tanks, with the 37 millimeter on the turret and the 75 down in the sponson. They did create a bunch of armored recovering vehicles out of those, and then on a Sherman holes, they purpose-built armored recovery vehicles. Now, Germany did have some armored recovery vehicles, but as far as I can tell, and again, we don't have, hey, what is that? Chris Tuppus, Panmetis. Sorry, I'm probably butchering that. Don't mean to. And hello, Holiday Punch. Blitzkrieg. Yeah, well, we're pushing as fast as we can into the Soviet Union. We don't have all the records for Germany in World War II. But as far as I can tell from looking at photos, all of the armored recovery vehicles are conversions of either damaged or out of date, like Panzer IIIs or Panzer IVs in the days when they're becoming less effective as armored fighting vehicles. A few Panthers. One is even a nice done job that they mount like a 15 millimeter autocannon on it, but you can tell that it's like sort of field done. It's not a factory, as far as I can look at it. That's done. There was, so they convert some of those Panthers. Mostly, I think like things are damaged enough in the turret that they just decide to pull the turret off and put on a winch and a few other things, and there you go. And it's sort of field done armored recovery vehicles. There is one photo of, and it's probably done in some production facility, but I'm not sure what. It's the hull that the Elephant or the Ferdinand, or they originally were going to build possible Tiger holes on it. One of those without any sort of superstructure on it. I don't think it ever had been built as a superstructure. That was used as an armored recovery vehicle. And that I don't know, maybe they had a good wenching system in it. The Ferdinand Oliphant, and it looks fairly, this is fairly armored up, has a power to weight ratio problem and overheating as it is. So I don't know how good at towing or unsticking a stuck vehicle would be with one of these things. I mean, I'm sure it's better than nothing, and it's armored, so if there's sharp little pieces of metal flying around, you're much safer being in. So, but probably actually, you see like a Tiger being towed. Miltrax, which is a armored convention that I want to go to someday, somewhere in Brussels. Well, not Brussels, Belgium. I've seen Brussels there. They reenacted, I think this last year or something, 3 of the big tractors they had there. They towed was it a Tiger or some other tank? I don't know. They just, and it wasn't stuck anywhere. It just towed it on flat, level ground. So that, that was sort of the standard 2 or 3 of these things linked and towing. And the reason they want to use these is the tracks give you good traction, and the power to weight ratio, because it's unarmored, is pretty good. So yeah, so I don't know. Again, we're looking at right here, looking at the only thing here is garrison equipment that we're way behind on, but we are not catching up on. That's fine. So I'm going to ignore that right now. So we are pretty full on most things, so I don't know that we should add more tanks into production at the moment. I think that may change. An aircraft, we have a few extra slots. So let's add a CAS. I think we'll get some imports here very soon. You know what? Let's do long range fighter. Where is our 110s? There we go. We'll increase that. So, let's, okay, I'm actually going to slow the clock down even more. We can see everything snapping to action here. We'll just lend support there. Give a unit. Oh, good, we're here. So again, this is, you really should almost play it like a turn-based game. This is our main breakout force. Now we, and boy don't I love that we have railroads. Okay, so we want to come along this railroad here because we want to secure it as quickly as possible. Hook around there, get them in a bit of a pincer movement. We're going to move you right to there. Now, you're going to keep moving to there then. They're already falling back from there. We can just keep marching up and around. Secure the coastline. We've created a pretty big pocket in here. We are pushing out. Halfway. That's meant to just be a spoiling attack so that we can occupy. Alright, well, good. So we now have infantry divisions all along here. 2 right here. 1 there. So that means I should hopefully be able to... A lot of units there. Okay, you keep moving up to here. You attack there. You push there. That, you come like that if you can. Okay, initiate the attacks. I really wish I didn't have to wait for the attacks to initiate like that. That's not... And that to then being able to assign... Okay, well they're retreating. Yeah, we're gonna We're going to push here now. Hopefully the Romanians. We're going to trust the Romanians. Hey, amazing. How you doing? Oh, we love pockets so much here, especially if we're not trapped in them, but having them. I'm recovering faster in the morning. Can't even open my eyes, but now just a little pain. Okay, well, I hope you get better, Singh. Singh just doesn't seem to have a lot of good luck recently. Hopefully things will get much better for him soon. These guys are all pushing into there. We're going to swing you out this way once you get there. Let's take a look at our air operations. Okay, well. They have a lot of capacity. Okay, here. Let's see, if we were to look at fighters. Okay, good. We got a lot of the meals right there. We're going to bring out a squadron of Emils. You're going to go for air superiority and go there. Let's wish it would just stay where we last left it pinned. Another squadron of Emils. Air superiority over here as soon as you can deploy. And take a quick look around the world. The Italians seem to have stabilized their front line. They're facing only 2 British divisions. Not exactly sure why they're only facing 2 British divisions, but my guess, though, we see a few British units out here with attacking our Iraqi allies, so they very well may have gone, oh, hey, we're doing great here. Oh, shit, there's an enemy over here, and sent everybody that way. When this could probably take care of itself in time, and they probably should have kept pushing. The British control Sardinia and Corsica. There. Otherwise, things are going pretty well. Oh, we had a battle off here. Sunk a convoy. And take a look out at Japan. We know. I don't. Oh, do we still have? Yeah, I think we still do have a. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. An advisor out here, team, to just so I can get mostly so I can get a look like this, so you guys can see what's going on. So Japan's doing fairly decent here. All right. Okay, so we've just taken this, and we're up there now. They're falling back from up here, so it looks. They're falling back. Let's push here and here. Okay, well, these guys are moving up along the rail line. We're going to send you that way once you get there. Make sure they keep moving. You still have the momentum, keep going there. Hey Arno, my friend! Yes, and hello, Mr. Orgy? Is that how that's supposed to be said? Okay. Sounds like a fun time, I guess. You can get to Riga that way. You push. And Arno's over on YouTube as well. Very good. These battles are going a bit hard. What I think is important is just to keep pushing on them a bit here. Pocket. Okay, good. So they're already retreating from there. Oh, we got a mountain division up here. I have no clue. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Well, we're pushing up. Okay, now see, the idea was to come down here to cut these guys off. More units we can cut off and destroy, the better. Okay, one's just standing there. These guys are pushing. Yeah, that's looking good. We are rather weak on our northern push here, especially from motorized forces you can get across the river that way. You don't actually need to keep going down there. You can go there. I think you two can go here. Just push everywhere. Everywhere a push. Try to do it smartly, but we need to be moving forward too. Hey, and thanks for following. Do appreciate that. I have to get new people around here. Okay, so. Okay, we got back a bunch of formerly lost Romanian territory. Going along and seeing a fortified Soviet line here. So let's add in 3 divisions in the attack there. Hopefully that will get us across. Okay, and we've killed off those 2 divisions. You can move in to reinforce that. And here you can, I think, support that attack. Yes. Across the next river. They can stop their attack. You support this attack so it goes a little quicker. You can support that. Okay, they're falling back along this front. Just squeeze on these guys. They move up to try to take their ability to... I really have to wonder, are there really this many railways through this Pripyat marshes? Seems like a lot. You know, I know I've said that before, but I still think it seems like a lot. Okay. Well, I guess the railway is where we should be pursuing along. And Arno's over on Rumble as well. And Kick, thank you. Arno for posting over there. You can support that attack. Just have to get across there faster. You can support this. I think you can come that way and you can join that attack. Okay, so we've gotten all the way up into here. They're trying to get across. They're having a bit of a hard time. So, one division will support this attack. And two divisions will. I'm just seeing that this is going fairly well here. Right, okay, looks like we're getting across this river here. These units are coming up. Okay, excavation level 4 has been achieved. Now, were there other things that I was needing to do to then do something else? I don't remember any of them. Because this getting excavation 4, we do have a lot of political power right now. I think will allow us to, yes, get some oil fields in Friesland and Emsland. Okay. So, for for 120 days, and we'll get some oil. So we're going to take, at this current usage, we're going to take a year to use up all of our oil. So we will, that's also Friesland, I believe, is over in the Netherlands. So we'll do this one first to get that. Your directive. Yeah, whatever. I don't like these things. I'm supposed to be the Fuhrer and setting the goals. These guys are here now. We'll push on them. And send one more across to Riga. And these guys will support that attack there. Make sure that we don't get any breakout in those divisions. The Gross Deutschland Regiment will support that attack. Okay, you guys cross the river with everybody else. You push here. You support that, I guess. These guys are pushing up. You can support that. These guys can start moving forward. These guys get to go there. Various divisions there. Okay. Okay, and Ben Engato. Change my name, it sounded weird in English. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what, unless you're not sure what you were before. Name test, sorry. Yes, but not sure. Ah, right, yes. Yeah, without context, you know, knowing what was meant, where to put the, oh, we never did pick another thing to research. Where to put the breaks in words, it's a bit tough. Doing this, yes. Do that. Okay, I want to look. Okay, we need more tungsten apparently. Okay. Well, let's see about getting it from Portugal. That's very historical. Well, now you start pushing in there. Maybe some Hungarians will join the attack. That's a huge amount of divisions trapped in there. Okay, well, they're coming up to here. We're getting the railways. You push down that way. You support that. You two divisions attack there. Got to get across this river, break through this fortress line. Also here, so we're pushing at 2 points on that fortress line / river defense. Okay, we made it into Riga. One of these divisions keeps pushing to there, so these others can get freed up to go. You get across the river there. We still have a lot of divisions flank at. Okay, you guys need to keep moving. Divisions need to keep moving. Okay, well. We're trying to trap more divisions down in here if we can. More factories. We can build more things. Okay, so we're down by 1 on the tanks, and that's what we had been before, if I remember correctly. And we have some extra aircraft factories, so production facilities by 4. Let's do some more 88s. JU-88s, that is. Okay, and I'm also thinking here, we are recruiting and deploying, so these are set to, I think, be over there. So let's move them to here. And you to here. So when they come on to the map. That's what I'm going to do right at the moment. Also, I want to see, do we have any of these that I've failed to sort of click on? We've got that. Done that, so that's good. Okay. Okay. These guys are pushing hard on us here, so we're going to send one. This motorized going there. Across the river, you can come to here. Here. And here we'll push in. Okay, they have been exhausted. Oh good, we're crossed here. Very good. Just come to there, these guys get across here, these guys come to there. Let's take a look at our supply situation. This is what I really love about the new Hearts of Iron here now, that we can see supply capacity at various points here, where we can supply, where we're supplying from, how much we can supply or is being supplied or trying to be supplied, and that is great. And we can make choice. Hey folk, he's racing down. Yeah, I don't know if we will encircle Odessa. You are right that I did see these guys up here. I'm at least moving because these guys are almost across the river. Well, one of them is almost across the river here. You guys can also head that way. That I'm hoping to then directly attack. Well, these guys are going to be fast too, so we're going to those sort of use as a pinning force. I'm hoping it gets there. One division attacks, the other division support, because I don't want to give up that hex if we move out. Okay, there we go. Those guys are going to start the pinning attack. Oh, yeah, one's already there, so we're going to keep pushing. Okay, return Romania. Okay, yes, we're going to return that to Romania. White was asking right then. You guys start pushing that way. And you support the attack. Oh good, we're pushing here, so awesome. Let's support that attack. They're already coming there. You guys just head this way. I think we've got those two divisions contained. I do hope. Okay, yeah, okay, we've made it into Wilno. And these railroads are definitely shaping my strategy, which is what it's meant to do. You can support that attack. Okay, yes, oh good. There we go. It's in circle. They're being pushed back. Now let's see if we can break out of Wilno and... Oh, pause. Public declared war. Okay, good. Good for you guys. You support the attack. You do a pinning attack there. You're not well organized. You join that. You push into the empty place. Coming in to fill the gap. Good. Just blatantly go that way too. Okay, looks like we are going to be able to do this reasonably well. You keep pushing that way. You can now move forward. You guys can push there and support that push. Ah, more factories. Okay, which right now these are all being captured and put into service. Okay, we've now pushed beyond our air production capacity. So what more do I want more of? Everything, of course, but I don't like seeing all these reds. Okay, heavy artillery. We should probably see about some more heavy artillery. No, and I want more tanks, but Well, I think just garrison equipment. The unsexy stuff. Let's try to get that down. We're going to be garrisoning more stuff here. Hopefully much more stuff. Oh, are the Italians doing? Okay, well, some more British have showed up. They're pushing our Italians back here now. Okay, well, Italy's got this, doesn't it? Yeah, that's sounds about right. You push there now. But we are across the river, and you support that attack. We got some more reinforcements coming there. Right, okay, we moved up into here. And you support. We're probably not going to go very far on that, but that's looking like it's going to be a pocket soon. Okay, they're all done with, so they can start moving east. They're falling back. Okay, well, I guess you get to move in, and you guys get to try to get across the river there. Well, we got the unit going north, so let's put these two, these two divisions coming south to Minsk. Hey, Toy Jet! How you doing, my friend? And how is Baldur's Gate 3 going for you guys? Toy Jet and Eric, two of my good friends, had been playing, I watched some of it. They were streaming it on the Discord server that we hang out in a lot. And it was sort of fun to watch some of it, but I just wondered how's it going. Oh, going very well. Good. Okay, so we got Odessa surrounded. We're going to send one division in. I think the Romanians are already sort of pushing that way. You guys keep moving up. You're all crossing the river there. Good. You'll get there very soon. That is good to hear. Yeah, let's move this armor division back up. No, you got pushed back. Get attacked from a lot of places. Okay, you can start moving up this way. You can join that attack. Okay, these guys are down there, so let's attack here again with support by these guys this time. Maybe the Hungarians will join in, please. Okay. It looks like they're going to take there. These guys are coming up here. Looks like we're going to get a lot of Guderian wounded. Uh-oh. One should not. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One shouldn't, but was there some delusion that I was a, like, you know, an intelligent, smart person or something? You know? But hey. guys can... I think, yeah, you go. Just head that way. Well, okay, we're going to end this episode. Not the live stream, everybody, but the episode here. I want to thank you for making it this far with me. And if you have any tips, suggestions, whatever, please post them below. And see you next time for more, yes, more Hearts of Iron. Okay, let's make a save and continue. All right. Welcome back, fellow Armchair Generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4's Black Ice. All right, well, I don't think we need to keep the fighters over there. Let's move you up to here, and we will move you over there. Let's... Doesn't look like we're being bombed much. Oh no, we are being fighting over here. Okay. Yeah, okay. I mistakenly spoke too soon before paying attention here. Okay, we are being bombed now. Well, that's a lot of bombing. I mean, I know what to do, but I don't know what to do. I mean, you put up fighters and you shoot all the enemy bombers down. Okay, and we're going to go for interception there. I'm trying to crank out as many fighters as I can. Most of these are captured crap. No. No. We'll just keep production rolling along. Support that attack there. You guys can support it from down here. Well, you can just attack to sort of pin these guys here that are retreating. Well, put somebody on the outskirts of Minsk, so go into Minsk. You guys keep going forward. You guys keep moving up here. You guys keep moving there. Going up that way. One of you can go that way. Okay, it looks like we are going to get this very soon here. Closed off entirely. Let's push here now. Push with 2 divisions here now. Okay, and we've got that actually closed off. Another great pocket. Maybe not as big as some of them, but still. Okay, well, we have a possible. Well, they're retreating, so we're going to push here again. You move up that way. Good. So we're deep in here. We're trying to cross there. You come that way, that way. No, you stay there. You were meant really just to support the attack, but looks like it's doing well. You hit that. You can pocket those guys. That would be nice. There is well, actually, these guys should pocket. Yeah. So they're going to be faster. Okay, so we do have a pocket here now, and they're all collapsing in on themselves. Very good. Let's. Okay, you guys. Here, cross there. You're coming across, you're coming up. Okay, we have taken Minsk. That is a bit of an achievement, I would say. Doesn't mean we've won the war or anything like that, but we have no idea how harsh winter is going to be on us. Okay, well. Let's look at supplies. Okay. So see now again, we are needing to understand this war, this fight now in railway terms, and we have to do union request. Ah, yes. Or they'll not participate. Okay, that's a good idea. I should request forces here. So, oh, pause. I want to look at this and talk. Where before it didn't matter what hexes you took because one of the stupid decisions of the design here to, oh, infrastructure equals railways. No. But we don't want to do the Battle of Narva here. We want to push up through here. So we need this railway connection here. So we need to take, well, this railway's down through here. So let's push there with you. And so if we can get that and push up this way, that will help. Obviously, yes, we're going to. Okay. Yes, let's come over here to Hungary. We could do that. I don't want to send. I want to. Return expeditions. No, we don't want to send. Best garrison support. No, I don't want to control the state. Don't want to give control of the state. Don't want to return. We don't want to send. Well, it doesn't look like I can request them right now. We'll request some garrison support. Are we being invaded? I don't know. Are we being invaded somewhere? I don't know. Well, when they get to Berlin, we'll notice, I'm sure. Now let's look here. So going to Moscow. We need logistical support up through here. Now we just got Minsk. So we need to come here to Smolensk. Looks like we are outstripping our non-motorized forces. Yeah, turn more this way though. These guys have got to get through marching this way. You guys can this way. Not sure where we are being invaded. Is this battle going on out here? Invading Romania or something? I don't know. These guys are getting there. Close this pocket before they all escape. I'm not going to escape that. Okay, take over CKD. Now, I don't know if Folk or somebody else here has a good suggestion for the next. I remember thinking that somebody did, but I wanted to get one of these Czech things that should have been long before. Artillery factory, small arms factory, that would be nice. Economics minister. Expand the Reichsarbeitsdienst. Days. Crew from our Bulgaria. Romanian training. Develop Hungarian aviation. Don't know if that will really help us. Support Italian claims. Send economic assistance to Italy. Hey, Frog Eyes, how you doing? At the bottom of a selected army screen, you will see Request Expeditionary Forces. Click on it, but you will need to have battle plan or fallback line or another order to get them. Oh, okay. Okay. Since I don't have any battle plans or fallback lines. Okay, that could be why I'm not. Oh, Ken Tool, how you doing? Reevaluate the number. Oh yeah, I've been raging about that for so long, because there's so many that I don't think establish Gestapo. Military police gains garrison, foreign. So there are good to guard French coast to free. Yes. Okay, we will do the Gestapo. See, something like that should have been done a long time ago. And yeah, there may be one or two. Okay, we lost a submarine, took out a convoy. Not necessarily terribly great exchange. But yeah, okay. These are probably air attacks that we're helping with here. Took out a French convoy. Ooh, we took out a heavy cruiser and a light cruiser and a British convoy. Again, we just helped with our air. You're absolutely right. So, let's establish a front. Well, no, let's establish a fallback line here with you. Okay. Now, would that be enough to come here and select screen? See requests. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Let's just see if we can get this going here. Hopefully I can send them wherever once I get them. We have been embargoed by the Republic of Finland. All imports received have been canceled. Oh. Okay, I don't know what that. I mean, I know we haven't done the northern sort of. Let's go up here. We're losing some convoys, so I don't know. We get the forces, and then we'll send them somewhere to hopefully. Okay. Well, how are we doing here? Okay. Well, we're getting some of our railways done to be able to supply stuff to the east better. I guess we can garrison equipment. Yeah, I did not, I have not, gone to the northerly route. And I'll tell you the reason I didn't go the northerly route. National focuses were way behind. Again, I don't think I radically, again, I don't know, not everyone watches everything, but I didn't hardly do any of the Army, didn't hardly do any of the Navy or the Air Force. National focuses, and and I don't think I like focused down on something that should have been done, much later in, you know, times. Now, some here do have, dates, not just earlier focuses, but dates to do that. And so, again, if you're going, well, hey, gamer, we reduce the time down too much, whatever too much would be, you can just do them all through, and then everyone would be just sitting there and waiting. Well, it put conditions like this one does, control Paris and Warsaw controlled. Okay. You put conditions, control certain territories, put conditions that are date related. And of course, we have, puppet or befriend Turkey, or if you want to, these are designed to, do you want to focus more on Henschel or Junkers? Not that these both can't be going on in, researching aircraft types or whatever, but if you want to get some of these a bit earlier, so you want to like focus your resources on a particular company, that to me seems great. Meaning choices to be made, can't, with the national focuses, can't do the everything, but can do a lot. And also here, another thing I would say is, let's go to all purpose here. I don't think I've, for Germany, one of the most research industrially developed nations on the planet at the time, can be argued, and some of them are, German patriot, ready for Germany. And we have a few. Hi, you guys know who you are. We talk often. Germany be best. Yes, they've lost twice in the everybody in the world against Germany, matchups, but still that they came as close as they did against everybody in the world, is a remarkable feat. Again, I'm not condoning their politics, especially the Nazis, as opposed to, world conquest is bad enough, and then behaving badly once you do it. We can talk about that, but just as a tactical exercise, the Czech tanks, Czechoslovakia was basically the industrial center for the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Up until German takeover, they did not have the welding techniques distributed enough. I'm not saying there isn't somebody who knew how to do it, but they didn't have the welding techniques and the machinery set up enough to weld tank armor. They were doing all their tank armors with rivets. Germany was one of the most advanced welding nations on the planet. Italy was another one. they could not. Again, I'm not saying there wasn't somebody out somewhere in the Italian industrial capacity that couldn't weld things. And I'd have to maybe look at some of the ship buildings that, some of the gun turrets that very well may have done so. But, and again, part of these things aren't just, do they have a manual somewhere that teaches armored units how to do the Sherplunk? Okay. No, what this is, I mean, that's an element of it. But what this represents is, yes, developing a tactical doctrine, sort of finalizing it again into like Germans obviously would publish everything, but then distribute it out, up and down the command chain so that, and like we can mention, hey, ARC Trooper, how you doing? Mention Ukraine. Ukraine is supposedly on an offensive, and you saw that recently where some Bradley fighting vehicles, I believe it was, or were they Martyrs? I forget. I think they were Bradleys, and some Leopards that got messed up and destroyed by the Russians. Now, supposedly, the vehicles did their job and that most of the crews survived. So that's, compared to the, I'm going to say Soviet design philosophy that has permeated both Russian and Ukrainian, because they both inherited the Soviet design and tactical doctrine mentality. Vehicles that a lot more of the crew would be dead or seriously maimed or whatever. So the vehicles did their job. Now, supposedly, and I don't know how true this is, so I haven't reported it. Everyone out there, I do have another YouTube channel called Crisis Report. If you even search on it, it doesn't necessarily show up, but you can poke me and I'll, in the description or in a comment, if you can't find it, I'll post a link to it, except I won't remember. But so I haven't reported on this. Supposedly they were told by their advisors, whether in-country or training advisors, I don't know. I think there's probably more in-country advisors than most Western allies want to admit. But for multiple reasons, both their own domestic reasons internally, whatever the country, as well as admitting it to Russia. But so that they should just sort of bypass or whatnot when they encounter a minefield. Well, supposedly, and again, I don't know if this could just be somebody's entire bullshit that somebody put out on the internet and other people repeat that, so that's why I haven't reported on it. Because they're looking at minefields that are being placed in places like Iraq and Afghanistan that are fairly limited. And you find out where there's one and you circle around it and you go on around it. Now, I don't know who is advising them, because I do know particularly the Marines started it, and I think now that the Marines no longer have an armored component, which I think giving it up entirely was a mistake. Reducing it down dramatically, I think, was actually a good idea. I would keep a company or two of Abrams in the Marines inventory, and I would just do a deal with the Army for training facilities and training time. So instead of having, the whole Marine Corps cadre of trainers and logistical support and all of that stuff, just go, hey, yeah, go, because, we have the National Training Center. I know I'm jumping around topics, but sorry. The National Training Center out here in California is where, they have an opposition force, if you don't know. Again, I don't always know who I'm talking to. I know some of the people here by name, but, how informed you are of things. And there's some really good forces. The OPFOR is well trained to be opposition forces and routinely rolls over American units. My cousin trained out there many years ago when he was, platoon leader for an Abrams platoon. So this is, I mean, I've read articles and other things, but I've also talked to him at length about his experiences out there. So, you know, and I don't know if the Marines have ever, even when they had, I don't know if they've ever even trained out at the National Training Center for the Army, because it's, it's for the Army out in California here. But, just use training schools, training whatever from the Army, and then just, have some units, because, because I remember another good friend who was for a while, an M60 driver for the Marine Corps, M60 tank. The Marines did not like so much getting the Abrams, because they used to, on the LCACs, that's the air cushioned landing craft, be able to put 3 M60s on an LCAC, but they could only put 1 Abrams. I think a part of it was weight, but mostly it was the size of the tank just got too big to be able to put multiple Abrams on it. I don't even think they could fit 2 on there. And so he, do part of his career, he drove an M60, and part of it was an amphibious tractor, an Amtrak, an armored landing vehicle he drove. Short guy. That's why he could fit in tanks well. And, I've always been a bit of an advocate for a smaller Marine Corps. And some of the Marines, including him, often took that as being anti-Marine. No, it's just, I don't think we need a 4th branch, of American Armed Forces. And I do think the Marines do a very, very good service. I just think, keep them elite and keep them a bit smaller. So having tank battalions, because they did have those, is probably more than you need for the Marines. Because if you need tank battalions in the war, against Iraq, just have Army tank divisions moving around, or infantry divisions that have, a tank battalion as part of them, or whatever. Just have that. Marines should be focused on, expeditionary landing operations. And yeah, when you go into the, Iraq or Afghanistan, yeah, you can bring some Marines along with you so they can, participate. And, even if there's no, amphibious component to the operation, yeah, sure, you can bring them along, but you don't need to bring them, heavy maneuver division, shall we say. But you also want to train forces in combined arms and to work closely with each other, okay? So you want to do that. And yes, the best use on large scale, and I'm going to work my way back through all the topics here. Don't worry, I'll try to do all this. I know I'm on one. We'll get back to Ukraine in a moment. That's touching on some of this stuff here. That you want a combined arms element. Armor, yes. As we're seeing again in World War II, exemplified, mass attack tanks fighting together, overrunning your enemies, pushing hard, concentrated effort, instead of like the French pattern of, let's give every, infantry division a tank company. You know what? It's best if you can mass your tanks and give every infantry division a tank company. That would be the ideal solution. The question is do you have enough tanks? Can you support the fuel, logistics, and production of ammo for all those tanks shooting, guns out, their guns? So that's where, that may fall down on what you're trying to do. But again, it is still useful to have tanks supporting infantry operations. That can be very critical. Instead of tanks leading the operation, especially in open areas, and only falling back once you hit a city or urban area. that, you know, you move them back into the support role. Okay, that's good for big maneuver fighting. But hey, whether it's a little Pacific island that you're going to attack or defend, or I don't know, let's just pick on a nation that is actually sort of being somewhat friendly to America right now, but Vietnam. Let's just say something goes, pear-shaped, goes upside down, and we've got a bunch of Americans in Da Nang, um, you know, and there's chaos locally or whatever, and equivalent of another, like whether it's a collapsed state or a civil war, it might be whatever. And they're no Americans get to show up here. No, the Americans are coming in. Americans are securing this. They're going to pull out the American civilian population or whatever that may be there, and of course maybe a bunch of other foreign nationals that we want to pull out, and we're coming ashore. We're not like invading well, yes, we are invading Vietnam in this case, but we're not like trying to take it over, so we're not doing massive amphibious assault. We're just coming ashore against without permission in a chaotic environment, whether the locals are going to, and this very well may be determined. If you got 5 Marines showing up with M4s, or you have 500 Marines showing up with 5 tanks, well, they might shoot at the 5 guys that show up on their own, but they might decide, I don't really want to die today, so we'll just let the Marines come in and do their thing, and we won't oppose them. So sometimes you want to come in with a lot of force so that you don't have to fight. Well, like I say, tanks are still useful vehicles in support. There is still nothing like a tank on the battlefield except another tank. Now, they have their vulnerabilities. They're not they've never were a complete wonder weapon. Well, and whether it's in World War II or in the Cold War era with an RPG-7, you get a few volleys of those things, you're going to decimate your tanks if you're fighting in close terrain. So never a wonder weapon, but there's nothing like a tank on the battlefield except a tank, except no substitutes. So that they've given up their tanks entirely means either 1, you can't have any tanks, or 2, you're going to bring in some random army unit that, yes, America has the ability to go, oh shit, we're going to need some tanks. Well, we don't have any tanks anywhere around here. We just put some on some airplanes and fly them to, to the Philippines or something, very quick, and, 24 hours or whatever, and offload them with their crews, and voila, we now have tanks. So America has that, and the only nation really that has that strategic ability here on the planet, that we can, flight time. Hey, Lawless! Everyone say hi to Lawless. Lawless is a good friend. He has not been watching my videos recently because he's not a big fan of Hearts of Iron 4, waiting for me to do another Hearts of Iron 3 series. And there will be one coming, trademark, soon, but I don't know how soon that is, but say hi. So, yeah, but now you've just pulled in a random armor unit that's trained to fight the way the army wants to fight, the way the army wants to use the tanks. And they know none of these Marine people around them, and none of the Marine people know them. Where if you had equivalent of 1 or 2 companies of, Abrams still in the Marine inventory, that they're Marines. They train with other Marines. Sure, the Marines that they're sent to support might not be the same, they might not be an integrated force, because again, like I'm saying, a couple of companies that then I would probably deploy them in platoon strength, attach them temporarily to, amphibious brigades or, amphibious units, so that they're around and they participate in the training and the planning and whatnot. But they at least have the same, material culture, fighting culture between them, the various marine elements. So it was a mistake to completely get rid of them. I understand that it was a budgetary issue and various things, and if you got to cut somewhere, they decided to cut the Marine Corps or the tank element of the Marines. And I again do think it's too big of, or had been a too big of a force. But you can, you need maintenance training, you need whatever. You just suck that part off the Army. Now, again, the reason I got there was the Marines developed the Miklik. Well, the Miklik was, I don't know, developed for the Army or whatever, but it was developed as a trailer-towed instrument that you would tow behind something, and truck, armored personnel carrier, tank, whatever, and it would fire a rocket charge that go up in the skyrocket, go up in the air. Probably, I know some of you guys know exactly what it is, and maybe even somebody watching has actually fired one of these things. I would have loved to fire one of them. Really cool. Goes up in there and it trails this big long cord of explosive behind it. It lays flat on the ground, and then I think it said and then you hit the detonation, go boom, and it blows it up. They found it worked really, really well in places like Afghanistan as an anti-personnel weapon, because you're sort of maybe getting in close to the enemy, and not just as a mine clearing. But so they had these things. Now the Marine Corps took some M1 Abrams, popped the turrets off, put on a sort of an unarmed pseudo turret. They mounted a 50 cal on it because yes, you need that. And then had two of these Miklik things at the back of these turrets. And then, of course, they liked plows, mine clearing plows. The problem with mine clearing plows, and the reason they liked them a lot, is because when they tried to use mine clearing rollers in a place like Afghanistan, or not Afghanistan, but Iraq and Saudi Arabia and whatever, the rollers wouldn't roll. They just end up sort of pushing and not the sand in front of them. But the reason I see all of the Abrams running around and other vehicles running around with mine clearing plows. The problem with that is they're destructive to whatever they're plowing up. So yeah, out in the sandbox and out in the actual sand, sort of kind of need the plows. But let's say if you're going along a national highway and somebody tunnels in from the side, that was an old trick to go into even in dirt roads because they could see it disturbed, is tunnel in sort of from the side of the road under there and plant your explosives, whether command detonated or mined. But if it's a mine, pressure mine, or magnetic, either way, so you can't visually see the mines. And yeah, I know they also, for some of the magnetics, they have sensors and whatnot. But that way you can roll down one of these roads without doing any damage to it unless there is a mine there. And then, of course, it's going to blow up. And it's going to be limited damage to where the mine blew up, not tearing up the entire road as you roll down it, whether it's a dirt road or a paved road or whatever. So rollers are still very, very good. To me, it's entirely just situational. And maybe in certain terrains, nine times out of 10, you're going to want mine plows, so you just use mine plows. But other times, you may know that you want to use rollers or whatever. So yeah, so they were sort of, again, the point is that the Ukrainians were sort of being told to bypass or go around or just plow through. They're not going to be very dense minefields, but the Russians supposedly did a really long, big stream, in one of the comments, like 100-mile long minefield. Now you have no idea that it's that long or whatever, and yes, I've definitely seen in there. I think it was recently. Is it Azerbaijan or Georgia? I think it was Azerbaijan was sending Ukraine a few mine clearing vehicles, armored vehicles. So so again, I don't know if that sort of ambush or that shoot up of NATO vehicles was because they were advised to simply sort of go around the minefield when they did that, or whether it comes to, and again, we're talking about, remind everyone, doctrines. I am sure, and I've gotten, not direct feedback from anybody who's actually trained the Ukrainians personally. I mean, I've supposedly the people that have come into various Western nations, the Ukrainians have picked up operating their, whether it's Challengers or Leopards or Bradley fighting vehicles or whatever it is, very well and effectively. That they're serious. They learn. They know how to drive their vehicles. They know how to shoot their vehicles. They're supposedly doing well in their immediate tactical training. But does that mean their superiors at whatever level do they know how these vehicles should be employed? I don't know that they do. I don't know whether, again, this was a, just sort of ignore the minefield and, you identify the minefield. Well, just go around it instead of halting because they did not have mine clearing equipment, because they did not have Mikliks or mine rollers or mine plows in the formations that we're trying to push. I'm not saying they didn't have necessarily any somewhere in Ukraine. I'm just saying at the point of contact, they didn't have them. And so I know that if the U.S. Army is coming in and it's properly equipped as it plans to be, they're just going to pop some Mikliks, because I think they've also adopted some of the Abrams from leftover Marine Corps ones, and they're going to clear those minefields and just keep on moving. But they're going to clear them, and this comes, so the doctrines are not just the operator knows how to do it, but the general, the colonel, the major, the captain, the lieutenant, they all know the doctrine. They've all lived and experienced the doctrine, even if it's a new doctrine. They've developed it, and that's what a lot of this takes. And so I get on the research that a lot of this stuff should take time, but we have, and again, I think I've gotten practically all of these that I'm could or supposed to, meaning there's not any major ones. There might be one or two, I don't know, that I've missed somehow, but I'm way behind. And this really isn't a complaint. This is just a comment. I'm way behind because I, again, done very, very, other than this can only do this, this. So yeah, this forces me, and I like the style of, hey, these are what, this is an aircraft design. They're not going to start designing tanks. These guys know how to design aircraft, and that's what you're looking at. I like that some of these are focused in, and I like that some are general. I really like that feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's just either you need a lot more slots, if you will, or you need to reduce the research time on these vehicles, as well as we started at the national focus. I know it was a long way. Hope it was interesting to get back to where we were. Well, yeah, okay. Oh, they've left this province, so we might as well occupy it. You come this way, even though we do need to take that. They're pushing in to try to cut that off. You guys, both divisions attack there. The reason I'm doing that is so I can have this division support the attack. So that's 3 divisions attacking instead of just 2. These guys are getting across the river someday. Hopefully they can keep holding again. I don't know what's invading there. We've got this pocket here that looks like it's coming down, and let's support this attack here. Okay, they've got one little... No. There. Okay, you 3 mountain divisions, you head towards the Prepet marshes. You can just march there. We can clear that area out with hopefully fighters somewhat capable of dealing with that. You move up along the rail. Good roads there. I don't know why you didn't. Okay, so right here we're gonna send Infantry Regiment Liebstandart. Take a quick look at its template. So it's just a motorized regiment. Does have some tank destroyers in it, or assault guns, and an armored division and a motorized infantry division, and attack there. These guys are pushing that way. Let's go here. Let's push along there. Okay. Well, that may go fast enough. We'll see what we encounter up here. Okay, good. We finally got this closed. Okay, you can support that attack. Support our allies, and you can support that attack. I think we'll hold there. Alright. Oh, good. They've actually evacuated some of these provinces. Very good. Okay, you fill in there. You come there. I think we need to dip down here just to make sure we get this railway picked off soon. The 2 infantry divisions go that way. Okay. I don't know. One of the biggest conundrum I have whenever I'm invading the Soviet Union, how much armored forces to the north and there, and how much to the south. And it's right now over these divisions. Okay, well, I think we will send you guys south. Not that I have enough in the north, but avoid that fight. Yeah, everybody crossed through. Medium artillery has improved. Well, isn't that good? So I don't think there should be a... I get the idea that was presented that some of the stuff in this game should be meant for choices, that you're not going to have everything. Well, you know, especially once America gets rolling, yeah, America gets to have everything. They have that. They have enough research, enough industrial capacity, and proper research takes industrial capacity. It's not a pure theoretical, because again, you have to do practical elements to it. Okay, gains experience. Very good. You should just keep coming up. There to Talon, I guess. And you can march that way, maybe? Well, you should, yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, again, this should not be so low. War support, yeah, 90%, that's good. What is going to do the most? This one. We fight united. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so the Soviets are pushing against them there. We're going to try to swing around behind these guys. To get across the river. Hey, Ragar. Well, what's killing it still is Himmler, which I totally disagree that he is... the SS were a destabilizing factor. I would very much argue they were a stabilizing factor within Germany itself. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about occupied territories. We're talking about stabilized within Germany. Okay, right. Okay, 2 divisions. You attack there. Pin them. Get a few more across them. Try to break out. Well, they've fallen back from here, so let's... With all 7 of those divisions are there. We're going to get stomped. Factory floor training and advanced rubber processing. All right. Okay, so we just got here factory floor training. Very good. So increase factory repair speed, production efficiency, production to grow 25%. So that's really good. That's going to help us out a lot. Yeah. Look at power gain, use encryption though. Not that that's a big problem. One of these help with guard output, airbase construction speed. You do another rant. Here again, these are unresearched ones are gold or brown or beige. Research ones are green. It's the opposite for national focuses. Get your damn colors straight so that I don't have to think about this. I want to think about everything else and not which one. Antibiotic. Population. Okay, nice, but I think I'm going to go for... Well, let's look over here. Not doing nukes. Not doing jet engines this playthrough. This is, again, people who, see an infamous curse on, yes. Himmler causing instability by messing with astrological alignments of the Reich. Well... yeah, I hear you, but again, I would argue they are more of a stabilizing than an unstabilizing factor. I do get the whole Holocaust thing, and that may be what I'm presuming that's what they are referencing, but yeah, the Jews, let's see if I can get this right, Kristallnacht is in 1938. But by that point, the Jews had already been removed from public life, meaning they were no longer in any schools, either as students or as teachers, administrators, or any of that thing. They're no longer in any government jobs. They're no longer in the Army or the Navy. They no longer have any high-profile positions in any companies. Not saying they wouldn't necessarily be a, 1938 I'm talking about. They wouldn't be some worker in some factory or something, just keeping their head down. Or before Kristallnacht, struggling along with the Jewish-owned businesses. They're definitely there, but it's been a few years ago. Simpson and Sons, which are located in this area of Germany, sort of Erfurt and whatnot around here. At the end of World War I, I'll describe it this way, they were the smallest of the big arms manufacturers in Germany. The smallest one, yes, but of the big ones. And that is why that they were the one company by the Versailles Treaty that was allowed to continue making arms for the German armed forces, the Army and the Navy and whatnot. because even though they were going to be down to 100,000 men, it was, understood that, yes, you're going to, re-equip these soldiers over time, whether it's new models of things or just, replacing worn out whatevers, so that they, get there. So that was the one coming. Now, it happened to be, and I don't think this was in any way the reason for it. It happened to be Jewish-owned company. And they were, one of their big things is if you ever get like a double dated, particularly Luger, that has 2 dates. The second date will be, I believe it's 1920 and later. Well, and it'll be in the 20s and early 20s, in which they were sort of doing a buyback kind of program on weapons, generally speaking. But they didn't want, they didn't want somebody go, oh, here, turn in, 100 Lugers or something for whatever means. And then, okay, good, and we'll give them to this police department here. And then somebody take those same Lugers back in and get the bonus again and keep going through. So they do a refurbish on them. They'd look at them, make sure that they were all functioning right. If they were worn out parts, replace them and make sure they fitted properly, and everything, and so that these were ready to go guns. And they'd put the second date on it so you couldn't go through it. Well, I talked to this, and I knew before, and this is, they played my mod Third Reich events, and that's why they contacted me. I was dealing with the Simpson and Company. And I talked to him just text messaging, but a bit on it. That during the 20s and early 30s, before 1933, they very much cooperated with German military authorities. And I think happily so. Now, when the Nazis come to power, like, and this is sometime in 1933, they shocking that Simpson's company has been charging the government twice as much as they should for rifles and other, guns or whatever they're doing. They're twice as much. Here's all the paperwork. We can show you. They are overcharging. They are profiteering from the Germans. We have to confiscate this company from these Jews who are abusing the German state because they're charging twice as much as, hey, ZZ, as they should for these. A Mauser rifle costs twice as much as anyone should have to pay for it. Not, but they're being billed, and they're saying, we're, instead of $30 for a Mauser rifle, we're charging you $60. Yeah, there you go, government. There's the paperwork proving. They've been doing all this time. The government just didn't say anything about it. Because the government was getting 2 Mauser rifles, not 1. Is what, he informs me. They were working because when the Versailles, treaty monitors would come and look through the paperwork, yep, they turned over, 1,000 rifles or whatever the number was, and they got paid. They got paid a lot for those, but they turned over 1,000 rifles. When in fact, they turned over 2,000 rifles. That's why they were double charging, because you have to pay for the steel and the wood. You have to pay the workers. You have to pay to keep the electrical bill to keep the machines operating. So you can't just make rifles for free. You have to pay people along the process. So you can't deliver twice the rifles that you're legally allowed to, or you're publicly allowed to doing so. So there was no point in trying to say this out loud publicly, because even your potential supporters, the people that you had been working with and evading, especially in 1933, when Hitler and the Nazis were still trying to appear to be honoring the Versailles Treaty, even though they were publicly railing against it. It's terrible, but they weren't openly breaking it yet. If they were to come out and attempt to say that they were, evading treaty things, that would get them in hot water with the people who they had been working with and who might still sort of support them. So their company is confiscated. And yes, he informed me that all of the Simpson family gets out in time Now they've lost their factories. They lost a great, I'm not saying they were poor. I don't know, but they lost a great bulk of their wealth in the confiscations, and they used the documentation correctly. So we know that with something like the Simpson company, that's just the smallest of the big factories here. That you can pump out a lot of production. Germany has huge amounts of industrial capabilities and research capabilities. And this is just, to me, yes. I just feel that this is just not. Oh, we need more radio equipment and more support equipment. Okay. I know what we're not producing. Okay. And maybe that would be somewhat alleviated with, more small arms factories or whatever. But we're way behind on our research here. It looks like the mod is better tech tree, but it's just a few percentages. So the main problem is research 44 hasn't been solved. Yeah, I think they're doing good work with the mod. And I don't want to jump on them too hard. I feel that they have, added too many goodies to the things to be researched, and not appropriately for some nation like Germany added enough, research slots, if you will. Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, they're building tanks in a shed. These two nations aren't. Bulgaria isn't. In the idea that they can sort of kind of produce enough tanks to keep a tank division, without losses, well equipped or with minimum losses. And their technology, so they're cranking out. Oh, that's I want to look here. They're cranking out. I want to just see the production number here. These are 2 a day, 2 a day. Okay, well they're more cranking out like 1 a week or something equivalent. Maybe 52. Yeah, but so their research and their development is nothing like Germany's, and Germany should be cranking out so much more of this stuff. Okay, well, well, I think it's time to end this episode. So I want to thank you all for being this far, listening to me rant about things. Hey, and if you're new around here, hopefully you're subscribing. And everybody, take a little lick of the like button. For each video, just you gotta only lick it once. It tastes different. Tell me what this one tastes like. So lick the like button. So see you next time for more Hearts of Iron. Okay, and what did Rhaegar say here? Let's just make a save here, and we'll continue this in just a moment. If they cheated with the paperwork, their factories could be rightfully confiscated for them cheating with the paperwork. Well, yeah, confiscated by the Versailles people as opposed to the government. And yeah, it's just, they were between the rock and the hard place. And, before the Nazis, yes, they were a Jewish family, but they saw themselves as German from everything I get. Now, it wasn't extensive conversations, but he was giving me some of the details of the Simpson and Sons situation until they get confiscated. And again, it does matter. It's not just partially because to me it's educational as well as game mechanics. When nationalize whatever factories, I guess we could do this now. We're already doing something else, but 2 tank assembly plants, that would be very useful. That we may do that next. But they really don't nationalize most industry. Yeah, and we can talk about gray areas that, and it both proves my points, proves both of my points about National Socialist Germany. Ferdinand Porsche and the Porsche manufacturing industrial firms. We can see here, as that. They put out, the Hares, the army, puts out a specification for the Tiger tank. Well, and these are not just like in the Soviet Union. Again, I'm not a Soviet expert, but I sort of kind of know. They have design bureaus that are sometimes competing, whether it's aircraft or tanks or small arms or whatever. But they are a lot more government directed. They're not independent organizations. The Army will come out and go, we want a Tiger tank. I mean, they may not be naming it, but it's going to be X amount of weight, needs to have this kind of frontal armor, needs to have an 88 millimeter gun on it, needs to blah blah blah, has to meet these requirements. And these companies, MAN, Henschel, Alket, the Nibelungen Works, Krupp, Porsche. Don't know how much Daimler-Benz was making tanks. Vomag, yeah, they were making some. They're also making a bunch of, the armored half tracks, at least the armored bodies of the half tracks. Now, something like that very well might be the situation where, again, people, I know a shit ton about World War II, but there's so much more that I don't know than I do, out there. I think, because looking at them, a lot of the prime mover half tracks and the armored infantry half tracks look to be automotively, at least in certain weight categories, the same engine and track, and I think transmission. So that very well may be being made by somebody like Daimler-Benz or some truck manufacturing company, and then sent over to Vomag, who is making and welding together the armored body, and being assembled in Vomag. And Daimler-Benz designed a Panzer III. Well, very good, folk. Good to know. Yeah, again, like I said, I don't know everything. I mean, I know a lot, and I can draw good pictures, but I don't know everything. So, these companies, and now there is definitely and weapons manufacturers shouldn't be independent organizations. They should be strongly connected with the government. And we're going to argue. Well, I'm going to demonstrate what was happening here with Germany. And so some of these companies here will go, yeah. Oh, and so even though, like, and I don't disbelieve Daimler-Benz designed the Panzer III, but Alket, Henschel, whoever, was probably also making them, meaning licensed production was definitely a thing, and definitely something that was made sure that was happening, however authoritarianly, however officially, as opposed to just knowing that you need to do it, was definitely happening. and not being exclusively to, to one tank design firm. So, and again, I don't remember what, but reading one or two of, whether it was the Tiger or something else, some of these design companies go, no, we're not going to design one of these things. We're not going to design a Tiger. Just no. And they just, or maybe it was a subs. I don't know. They just go, nope. And I forget, it was Porsche, who does that, and I forget who did was it Krupp or Henschel or who actually does the version of the Tiger one. Well, so Porsche, who good buddy would be an overstatement of Hitler, but definitely knows Hitler, knows him, and he's won the. And there's a whole controversy over the Nobel Prize. One of the and I can't remember the details of it. It's in my mod. A German who is in a camp in which you concentrate in. I'm trying to not, get YouTube algorithm here. Is given a Nobel Prize, and no, he's not allowed to go collect it. And they actually, because of this and this embarrassing situation, the National Socialists passed a law that keeps Germans, and this is, I think, in 36 or 37, keeps Germans from accepting the Nobel Prize. But they also create a version of the Nobel Prize for Germans, and it is just for Germans. And for something like, I think it's 37, 38, and 39, just for a few years, once they don't continue this after the war starts, they give away, a prize. It includes money, but it's just also a prestige prize. Well, Porsche's, and it isn't, it's for doing things that the National Socialist government likes. Not necessarily coming up with a brilliant new design. It's just being Porsche. Dr. Porsche is one of the people, and I think more around doing the Volkswagen, what becomes the Beetle car, designing that. But he is the German equivalent of a Nobel Prize winner in Germany, and he is very influential. Again, illustrating my point is power flows through him. So the closer you are to Hitler, where Ribbentrop is very close, Himmler is very close, Goering is very close, Goebbels is very close. Those people, and Speer will be, they all have instant access that can get in and does not have to go through Albert. I keep recently been forgetting his name because he's not here. His sort of replacement, Hearts of Iron 3. I'm picturing his face. The secretary, get past him. Where von Papen, no, he's already out of the government by this point. Wilhelm Canaris, no. Some of these other people, it just some of the other alternatives that were around. Krupp probably doesn't. Yeah, Speer, well, we could get him in here. Maybe we got to think. Walter Funk doesn't have it. Todt, who does die here fairly soon, historically, he doesn't have immediate access to Hitler. So the closer you are to Hitler, the more power you have in your National Socialist regime, even if it's not on high up on the flow chart of power arrangements. There are cases where people have a lot more power, even though because Speer has power and he's just Hitler's architect. Not really much of anything until Todt dies officially. But again, so the army's put out the contract for or the requirements for the Tiger. Well, Porsche, looks at those things. Sort of ignores some of that, I believe, because he wants to do his hybrid drive, diesel engine or an engine driving. I don't know if it's diesel or not. Maybe the driving generators that generates electricity. That's later on, but comes up with his version of the Tiger One without any government contracts, and produces 90 of them or something. When finally it's decided, no, we're going to do this other version. He didn't have any permission. He didn't need. He during the war diverted resources, machine time, instead of producing some other tank that was ordered on the production machinery, taking high quality armored steel away, taking workers' time, whatever, and produced a bunch of these other holes that the Army doesn't want. And eventually the Army goes, well, shit, what are we going to do with these things? We don't want them as Tigers. So they turn them into the Ferdinands and then later send them back to the factory and turn them into Oliphants, correct some of the deficits from. So there is a case in which a major arms factory does something that is not under government control. The government doesn't approve of this. The government, once it finds out enough about this, and I don't know what, they go, we're not buying any of these things. Well, we'll buy them if you do this with them, but don't build any more because we're not buying any more if you keep production. Okay. And then he does the same basic thing with the mouse. To the point, he has a bunch of holes and turret shells sitting there waiting to be done, that they could have recycled that steel into something useful, and he's waiting for permission to, or waiting for components to be able to build these tanks, even though he's been told not to. So this illustrates how the industry is not, the armaments industry is not nationalized. Yes, under Speer, it is more and more controlled and regulated. We have regulations here in the U.S. If you want to build a gun, you've got to get permission from the government to be able to build guns. You can't just decide to start building guns in a factory. It's regulated. And companies can nope out of production of equipment. Another one was Alket comes up with, during the competition phase, Jagdpanzer 470A, designated for Alket, and it's rejected. It's not as good a design as the V from Vomag. I guess, this Vomag does those. And then Vomag can't make enough of them. And Alket, for whatever reason, can't readily make it in the Vomag styles, but they go, okay, yeah, go ahead and produce a certain number, a couple hundred or whatever it is, in your style, because it's still better than nothing. So there's a lot of this going on that clearly shows that the overwhelming majority of German armaments industry is not nationalized. Yes, I think the Nibelungen Works is a sort of national government development project. Yes, Simpsons and Son is nationalized, and then I forget what it's called briefly for like 6 months or a year. And then after Gustav gets assassinated in Switzerland, they rename it to the Gustav Works, and then they also glom on other production facilities that do other things. That's government owned, and it's nationalized only because it was Jewish, and not just, and that was done in the 30s, well before the start of the war. I think in 33, but definitely before 36, it's nationalized. So yeah, this illustrates both my contention that the German armament industry is not. Now again, by 1944, 45, in the latter days, it's becoming highly regulated. And yes, if one of these armaments companies just go, no, we're gonna make bicycles, they'd be instantly taken over, because however much the Germans might want to be green and have bicycles, they want rifles or mortars or whatever it is. And yeah, you can't, and also my understanding of National Socialism and the philosophy as practiced by Hitler and the National Socialists in Germany ideologically is all of this is collectively owned by the German people, but it's also at the same time privately owned by individuals, whether one person, a small collection of people, or 10,000 people owning one share in a company. So long as it's operating in the general interest of the German people, get back to like Simpson and Sons, you can't overcharge on something. So if you're the single manufacturer of bicycles in Germany, and hey, all the other companies have gone out of business, we're going to double our prices just because. No, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. Whether you would be nationalized or just regulated, or just a bunch of, or all of your workers who had been one way or another encouraged to join the Deutsches Arbeitersfront, the German Workers' Front, which is a union, a labor union, all walk off the plant going, oh, well, until you start charging the right price, we're not coming back. Especially in the 30s, you're not going to be seeing arrests. And you definitely see lots and lots of legalisms going on, in which, like, to be able to nationalize Simpsons, they use the court system and presenting real evidence, not even doctored or fake evidence by the prosecutors. They just went in and got the evidence. Now, of course, it was faked and doctored by the company and the government to be deceiving for other reasons, but and got that. So a lot of stuff is very legalistic going on through this whole regime, and it is only really in the latter days for the German people of the right type, as they would see it, does it get brutal, or even start to get brutal. And even there, we can talk about how it's not terribly. Little more brutal on the Western Europeans, extremely brutal from day one on the Eastern. So let's see. I want to catch up on what Ragar is saying. We're designed and manufactured socially. What are we? I don't know. Weapons manufactured. Okay, a lot of weapons that are designed and manufactured during socialistic era are both decent and was affordable because they didn't have to pay profits to shareholders. I disagree. The price was not a good indicator of the cost as money. Fictitious. Yes, I would agree with that, folk. Profits at defense firms are minimal if you just care to read their earnings reports. Well, most manufacturing profits are actually rather slim. According to economists, after the Velvet Revolution, dams, power plants, tank factories actually is cheaper when done by state companies. I would disagree. We got to sort of argue out the details of how it's cheaper. Not familiar with this particular report. My point is straight comparisons of prices in Eastern Bloc with those in capitalist countries is wrong. Well, I would say, and again, and I talk to people that, one I remember years ago who had been a Czech diplomat, and this was before the war, or before the wall comes down, so he defected. Talked about particularly he was illustrating tailors and how tailors couldn't make a decent jacket. I mean, literally make a jacket that even halfway fit. We're not talking about being fancy and whatnot. Prices in the yeah, the whole communist system is basically, or the communist system as practiced by the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact countries. And yes, I do know it varied between East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Romania, uh, Albania. It varies from place to place. And no, I'm not an expert on all this, but was very artificial and constantly lying to themselves about things. So the Czechs definitely through the whole Cold War continue to keep their own designs in development and production, where most of the others, say like Poland and I know this in small arms better than tanks and artillery pieces, but I think it holds true there to some degree, and it varies compared to Poland and East Germany, which basically just makes copies of the Soviet equipment with minor variations, as opposed to completely design differences. The Czechs, designed their own pistols, where East Germany makes the Makarov, or the PM, as they sort of know it in the East. And quality varies. I have a nice little East German made Makarov that is, the slide and everything moves on it as smooth as glass, compared to, and I don't own a Soviet made Makarov, but I've handled a bunch of them that are functional but crappily made. It varies, and it varied. And as a yeah, a lot of the Soviet designed weapon systems are meant for are designed to mass produce a lot of them easily. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. I almost said cheaply, but easily. So in essence, sort of cheap in that it's quickly to produce. Where in the West, they take more care of it to produce. So, and you can look at something like, what is it, Nine Hole Review, a rather good YouTube website where they take guns and shoot them and evaluate their, accuracy and whatnot. Generally speaking, an M16 will be a lot more accurate than a AK-74. Two roughly comparable calibers. The AK-74 was made very much because the M16 existed. Well, if our enemies are making something like this, we should too. So, yeah. And so are are they making them cheaper because they don't care and are just spamming out junkily made, maybe very effective in that they're bullet spitters, and at 100 yards having twice as big a grouping, variation on how big the pattern is, and you're still center mass in the chest either way. Now of course, if you're aiming and able to be center mass, you're still going to hit, but if you're a little off to one direction or another, you might miss the person. But they don't really care. And So yeah, is it cheaper because it's communist, or is it cheaper because they just don't make it so good? And it's made like I say, like on the Makarov pistols, because I've held both and compared both at the same time. The East German ones were made a hell of a lot nicer than the Soviet ones. And not that the Soviets couldn't make nice ones. They probably did for presentation, to give it to some general or something. It probably was a very nice, manufactured pistol when they really cared to do it. But they just didn't care and wanted to have more pistols out for more people. And the East Germans, well, they're just Germans still. And they just, can't, they just, their bodies just won't function and not make a high quality weapon. So even though it's the same design as the Soviet, in general, I mean, they may do slightly different sights or grip things or whatever, but same functional design and caliber and whatnot. So yeah, you're not necessarily comparing the price for in large, not small production, but large mass scale production of what it would have cost in a Western country to manufacture AK-47s versus what it cost the Soviets to make AK-47s of the same quality, same type, that's cheaper in the Soviet system. I don't know that that's really the case. Yeah, I know they're lying to each other and the value of the money and all that BS, but yeah, okay. Let's see. We didn't have commie systems. We had some reforms of oligarch systems in the 20s and 38s that we called Western. We were called Western by the Russians. Yeah, I can't speak to the details, and I know Rhaegar is from Czechoslovakia, or what had been Czechoslovakia, um, and I've definitely seen, Cold War era weapons coming out of there that were rather nice. And yeah, and I know, and particularly divergent from all the rest and never part of the Warsaw Pact, of course, was Yugoslavia. Um, yeah, I know it wasn't the same everywhere. I know that, and you could get a doctorate in studying each of these countries. Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland, East Germany, Romania, Bulgaria, and how they all differ from the Soviet Union and how they're all similar, how they are similar and how they are different. And so I'm talking big brush strokes here, obviously. Technically, USSR did not refer itself as Yeah, yeah, that's quite true. East Germany, Czechoslovakia manufacture was good because they tried. Polish, not so much. And the quality of work further east, typically bad. Yeah, this one diplomat who defected, you know, I talked to him a little bit personally, but mostly he lectured. At he he knew that one of my professors and came and lectured to the class. He was talking about how one of this jackets that he was to get to be a diplomat, and how the shoulder pad on one side was just bad and oh well, it's the blah blah blah. No, no. And I went back a couple of times to try to get this thing fixed, and they just couldn't fix it right. Just because, and this was in Czechoslovakia, and and it's just that the tailors who are making that, because they were, it was a tailored jacket to be a, not just some 1960s or 1970s era men's jacket that who the hell cares about. This was somebody that was going to not be an ambassador at that time or anything at that level, but was going to be part of the diplomatic staff in a Western country, couldn't get a jacket that fit right to him. And it wasn't needed to be, anything special as we might, like Italian tailoring or anything. No, it's just not to have this funky bulge on the one of his shoulders that stuck up different than the one on his other, and it wasn't because his body was different shaped. They just refused to care and do. And and it's just like, yeah, and this may be a non-critical component in the society and manufacturing, but still, it's just, and so that's just socialism, it's just socialism, because you know what are you going to do? What does it matter? What does it matter? To the workers, to whoever. It just doesn't matter. There's just no fixing socialism, because, as they say, they're going to pretend to pay people that pretend to work. And that's just the system, and it's always going to be the system. Socialism, I'm not talking about social welfare. We can talk social welfare, and a lot of Americans get these things confused. And social welfare can be the gateway drug to socialism, but isn't necessarily. But socialism, and I'm going to define this very shortly as the government actually owning a means of production exclusively, is always going to be substandard and inefficient. Whether it's the British National Health Service, because if you have and I know there are private hospitals in Britain, I do know that. They're very few and they're very expensive. You have to have money to go into these things. Just heard about like 18% of Britons are on a waiting list to have some medical thing happen. I'm not talking like emergency medical. I'm just talking, cancer treatment or something. Who knows? Is when you don't have competition, when if you're going to be functionally, if you're going to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever, and I don't mean male or female, I mean just, that kind of trained professional. I'm not talking, a nurse. I'm not talking about somebody who changes the bedpans. I'm talking about somebody who'll give you an injection and, be a doctor's assistant or basic medical treatment, low level, kind of like I say, an injection or whatever, and, be able to give you some emergency medical care in a hospital or something. If you can only go to work for one employer, meaning the system, then what the hell do you care? Once you get your certificate, I got my certificate, of being whatever. I'm going to go to work for it. What do you care anymore? Now, I know there's caring people that'll do their best, but without the idea of, oh, you want to work at our good hospital? You want to get paid 5% more than, or 10% more than at this other hospital? Well, come to work here. Oh, you passed. What were your grades? How did you pass? Oh, you just passed the certificate level. Okay. No, thank you. Because they can hire somebody who got a higher percentage on the score tests or whatever. Or, oh, hey, Dr. So-and-so, we've got a few complaints about your attitude for treating the patient. Well, did they get well? Yeah. But they don't like the way, well, they got well. That's all that matters. What are you going to do? Fire me? You need doctors. You don't have enough doctors. You're not going to fire me. And I haven't cut anybody's hand off when I should have been cutting off their leg. And they survive, most of them. What are you going to do? Fire me? I mean, yeah, if you're cutting off the wrong appendage, they'll probably would fire you eventually. But if your attitude ain't so good, if you show up late to work or whatever, and and it's just the system. But if you go, oh, your attitude, Dr. So, isn't very good, you're gone, and we'll hire somebody else because we're a competitively hiring force, and it's doctors aren't just this is what you get paid from the national health standard. It's a doctor goes, hi, I'm a doctor, I'm very good, do you want to hire me? If not, I'll set up my own practice, and people will get I'll get recommendations because I will only cut off the correct foot. And so socialism is always a bad system. Always a bad system. It is never good. Now, sometimes, what are you going to do? Either you're small scale, and I often like use Luxembourg. How many hospitals does Luxembourg have, and does Luxembourg need? Okay, or Denmark even, or IKB, who's not here right now, I doubt it, but he works for one of the British rail companies out on the railways. So we talk about rail stuff a lot and the changing landscape. And I remember back in the days when it was Brit Rail and all one nationalized system. And then they broke that up, and they're having problems, and some of them are failing, and there's various reasons for them failing, and we could talk on about it. And because part of it is that they're mandated to run certain routes, that there's just not enough people going from London to Hull to run 4 trains a day each direction. But to be out there, they have to do that, and there's just not enough people to do that. So it's a losing proposition, where maybe 1 train a day would cover it, but half the people need to get there in the morning, and the other half the people need to get there at night, and they're not going to travel the day before. So it's just not even worth, because if you just run 1 train, it's only going to be half full anyways, because the other half needed to go at another time of day. So what you do, that comes down to your ideology, and for mass transit versus cars and people walking between Hull and London. Go, well, hey, you don't have to take a train, you can walk. It might take you a few weeks, but you can walk. So I mean so, and you don't really want 3 train companies all laying their own individual tracks between Hull and London. So how do you work that out? How do you set up a company that meets your national desires to have a passenger rail service that moves people around efficiently? Do you have it as a government owned? Do you have it as a private owned but government, not just regulated, as in like safety regulations and other sorts of regulations, but mandated that you must, if you're going to be the rail company, you must have 4 trains going each way, spaced out during the day between Hull and London. That's not just regulation. I mean, it is regulations, but it's in contracts to get this stuff. But it's coming to a fascistic, and I don't like to use these terms because of the connotations with World War II. But the corporate state controlling this, that and yeah, there may be a net benefit to society of running some of these trains around that are not necessarily profitable. At a certain flexible requirement, shall we say, going, okay, yeah, you rail companies, yeah, here's some of your basic minimum requirements. As long as you meet those, have at it, and just be safe and be clean and whatnot, and do your job right, and you can have either regional or national contracts or whatever, and go for it. And it might have a few lines that don't make money. Okay, so long as you have enough lines and enough places that are making plenty of money, that are not overly regulated as the ticket price and whatever that keeps you from making too much money there. Yeah, you can have lost leaders as it would be, but how do you do it? So sometimes there isn't a good free market alternative. There can be a market alternative. Again, contracts with a exclusive company. What's saying here while I've been rambling? Okay. Doctors Guild final say allowed the doctor to continue practicing as a doctor. They can revoke. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But we're not saying I'm just saying, yeah, no, this guy meets all the minimum requirements. Because what? Okay. See, the idea is minimum requirements. He's making all the Doctors Guild and everybody else agrees that this doctor meets minimum requirements. And he is going to make equal to a doctor who's going to be able to treat twice as many patients. And they're all going to be happy. So one doctor is going to make $100,000 a year, treat his 50 patients, and they're all going to be fucking pissed at him. And he's going to skip whatever. He's going to be late. He's going to be whatever. But it's all going to meet the minimum. He's going to make sure that he never slips below the minimum. And this other doctor over here, he's going to see 100 patients, and they're all going to love this guy because he's friendly and nice and explains why the bad things need to happen, why you need this shot, why you need to exercise more. And he's going to be very helpful, and he's going to have twice as many patients. But he's not allowed to make any more money. Now, this other guy who has the bad attitude might go, oh, shit, if I could make twice as much money if I was friendly, or if I actually went and saw more patients per day, I can make, I'm going to get paid per patient. But they have to, sign, put, and it's all maybe done privately, meaning the doctor doesn't get to see who's recommending it or not, but, do surveys, on your phone or whatever afterwards. Was the doctor friendly? Was he nice? Do you like him? Do you want to keep him as your doctor? Would you prefer to have a different doctor? And the doctor never gets to see individually, so he doesn't know, can't target a patient or something. And the idea that, even if he's not like personally, going to be that friendly, but maybe he can get in and see twice as many patients for twice as much money. So this is why, because you go, yeah, they make the minimum requirements, but I'm talking about the idea of having competition so that the better you do, the more you do. There were much fewer control mechanisms of menial workers. By the way, most ex-scientists are really bad menial workers. Yes, I would agree that that's probably true. I would probably demote washing toilets in your country. It gets overused and used in over-exaggerated situations. Not exactly what you're referring to. That no longer applies. Oligarchs wanted easy jobs for their children, and thus they removed a lot of safety checks and regulation. Well, I'm sure that just comes down to corruption. Corruption doesn't necessarily mean illegal, okay? It just, it means corrupt. So again, they might not, the oligarchs, help each other out. Maybe they aren't, doing anything that's an offense that they could be, charged for. Yeah, this is why socialism is bad. It just is. And like I say, there's not always, depending, if you're going to make fighter jets, you're probably going to sell to governments. Because those are probably, outside of a few billionaires, are probably the only people that are going to buy it. And because, depending on the situation, you might not be allowed to sell to more than one government. Because you might, if you have a high-tech U.S. fighter, they may not even want their NATO allies to have it. You know, like the Abrams. We are sending, and I may have seen a report, I don't remember for sure, that we found a few more Abrams. But the original report was we were sending 31 Abrams to Ukraine. A oddly specific number, not 30, not 32, not 31, because that's all they could find that weren't already spoken for, other contracts like going to Poland, that because all non-US Abrams are not the ones that the US government uses. We do not allow even Australia. I thought Australia had American style Abrams. They do not. None of our allies get to have the uranium armor packs for their Abrams, whether it's the Egyptians, the Australians, the Ukrainians. Briefly, and I talked to somebody who was involved in this. Briefly, they did turn over a few of the American Abrams to Iraq, but as for training and use purposes, briefly. But they made sure they got every single one of them back very quickly once they were able to bring in the export models to replace them, and so they were quite controlled. Meaning no one was going to go off for a joyride and sell one to Iran or to Syria or somebody like that who might want to get a hold of and get somebody in there to because you can a Russian spy, I almost said Soviet, a Russian spy can climb all over an M1 Abrams, and they're not going to find out what's in that armor pack. You got to get in there and cut, with the right type of diamond saw or whatever. Get in there and cut open and see just how thick and what that armor pack is made up of. So the mere fact that some Iraqi was driving around an American Abrams doesn't tell anybody anything really, as to how it's to defeat it. So yeah, so if you're making American Abrams, you not the export model but the standard model, General Dynamics, talking to you, you have a single customer, and it's the United States government as of now, as far as I know. You can't sell that. You can't take one of those, go, hey, Spain, instead of buying the Leopard, buy our, oops, nope, the government won't let us sell them to you. What we got, as one of my Ukrainian friends said, the monkey model. Yeah, we got the export model, Spain, and Spain goes, we'll take Leopards. They're cheaper, and we think they're better than the export model, and they very well may be better than the export model. But I don't think they're better than the good armor pack model. So yeah, let's see, I'm gonna go get a Coke here in just a moment. Okay, if fighter jets will not be able to kill Western ones, country would burn, designers would be hanged, as incompetence motivated a lot of engineers to do good work. Yeah, please explain to me, please show to me an incident in which Soviet model fighters were terribly effective against American fighters, Western fighters. Yeah, I know there were some dogfights over. I'm not talking about in the days of Korea. I'm talking like in the 70s, in the 60s. Yeah, there were some dogfights over Vietnam, but I think that went overwhelmingly, and I don't have all the stats in front of me. Oh, and there were lots of Soviet pilots flying Vietnamese marked aircraft over North Vietnam. And they could get away with it because when you landed, you were landing in Vietnamese territory. They weren't going to be landing. They weren't flying over South Vietnam. So, yeah. And we can look at every single Arab-Israeli war that the Western aircraft just decimate Soviet model everything's. Yeah, I'm still not sure of where we see effective, and the second stage Iraqi air that had primarily Soviet model aircraft, they would take off to go engage American aircraft and land in Iran because they weren't going to hang on. Oh shit! I gotta go. I'm going to Iran. Iran hates us, but it's better than getting shot down by the Americans. So yes. Oh, okay. Rumble something model. I don't know. Maybe you need to look at something over on Rumble. Probably, yeah. Unless somebody's introduced themselves and asked permission. No, no dropping links on Rumble. So if Arno, if you're still around and paying attention, I'm gonna go grab a Coke and be right back here. They were nice. They were nice in Vietnam War. They also the incident with Pakistan and India where Russia stuff performed well. Ah, I know I was going to go grab a Coke. Did you hear the part that I talked about monkey models and M1 Abrams and not being allowed to uh, sell to other nations? Yeah, we weren't giving our best stuff to Pakistan. Because I'm presuming that's where you were seeing the Western stuff versus the Indian using a lot of Soviet model. Yeah, yeah, we weren't giving the good stuff to Pakistan. They were getting either old, outdated first line stuff, or they were being given dumbed down stuff because nobody trusted them. And I don't specifically know. Also found it interesting that F-16s would have problems with Ukrainian runways. They basically need protective rear areas to be efficient. Well, yeah, F-16s were not designed like Harriers to operate from extemporaneous airfields. F-16s are, um, delicate models. And this is the whole thing: is giving Western equipment to Ukraine isn't always a good idea. I see a lot of like helicopters literally almost flying as low to run into trucks along highways. I mean, they're doing great job. I mean, that like the pilot, yeah, man, that pilot is zipping along there, and he, doing a great job at being a pilot and navigating around and keeping very low. And man, he's doing good, and he's flying a Soviet era designed, Hind or whatever. Might have some updates on it from since the Soviet Union fell. He's doing great, and he might even do very good in the Western helicopters. But maintenance time, my understanding, Poland. I think it was Poland, but I could be somebody else. Is sending technicians into Ukraine to fix artillery pieces because the Ukrainians are overusing them and damaging them, and so not being knocked out by enemy action, just wear and tear. And so instead of sending them out of the Ukraine and being fixed and coming back in, they're actually sending in personnel to fix these things. So yeah, just giving stuff to Ukraine, because before this fight starts, Ukraine is military and government, in my opinion, is no better than the Russian government and military. As in motivation, training, command and control, politically, it's just as bad as Putin's government. That doesn't mean Putin's justified in attacking. No, there's nothing like that. It's not like being anti-Ukrainian. No, it just they weren't particularly good, and so you give them a bunch of U.S. stuff, and yeah, the guy who might know how to fly it, but that doesn't mean they have the whole logistics trained to keep it going properly. And that's a lot of support. Okay, be right back just a moment. Then we'll make another episode. Now, my understanding, again, I don't know, don't have all the stats and details in front of me, but my understanding is the overwhelming number of American pilots shot down over North Vietnam happened because of surface-to-air missiles, and they're shooting volleys of them at them. So, yeah, there were a few good dogfights, a few good air-to-air stuff going on in Vietnam that was against the Americans. But yeah, you know, Israel is one of the few that gets better, not necessarily the best, but better quality American stuff. And yeah, so yeah. Wasn't designed for high tempo artillery operations. Yep, I agree. That's part of the problem. You know, that's nothing new. The South Korean, South Vietnamese, and Kuwaiti governments couldn't even say that they were democracy. South Korea was straight up a military dictatorship. Yeah, I know. I don't know how we got onto that. Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, time to deploy. Yeah, we don't yet have the Tigers, so what's your current plan to punch through the Soviet Russian defenses? Well, we are moving east, and so we'll talk about that here in just a minute once we start the episode. You were complaining. Oh, I'm talking about the realities of it, meaning to my knowledge, and no, I don't know everything, but to my knowledge, the corruption within the Ukrainian government was equal to the corruption in the Russian government. Kinds of things, and it was, but that doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to support dictators. What's wrong with dictators? Not everybody wants democracies. And in most countries, and most countries are not in Europe, in most countries, people want to have a democracy to get into power and then shut down and not have more elections or allow other, open democracies. Most countries are not democratic by nature. So yeah, I mean, we can support, and this is just about how there wasn't functionally much different between the two sides in effectiveness. Yes, in scale, Russia's much bigger than Ukraine. Russia has 3 times the population, I believe. So yeah, there's that. But beyond that, they were just, the same as Russia. And now you're giving them a bunch of stuff. It just, America spends like, I just saw this yesterday or the day before, but it's something like America's national defense budget. If you take all of the world's, and yeah, I know we can discuss countries lying to themselves and whatnot, like China, how much they're actually spending on stuff. But if you take the world's national defense budgets, put them all together, America alone spends about 1/3 of that. Okay, so America spends so much to keep those F-16s flying that Ukraine can't afford them. And this is what a lot of, I remember a story, again, I don't know if it's true, of a Pakistani who was an American-trained pilot for an F-16, and he had a problem landing once and crashed the airplane. I mean, it was coming down and it landed and it crashed. And he hopped out of that airplane and just took off running. And they never saw him again. He just disappeared. Now, whether the government caught up with him is why they never saw him again. But he wasn't going to stick around because he crashed an airplane. Because Pakistan can't afford to run these aircraft. Oh, but Gamer, well, wait a minute. We did give them huge defense aid packages, whether it was specifically to buy F-16s or something else. I don't know. But they can't afford to do this. And this is even, I don't even know if Britain can afford to operate their 2 carriers, in the sense that if you look at the Americans, they're constantly losing aircraft to incidents, training incidents, off aircraft carriers, off wherever. And some of the models, it's really because we stopped making them, unfortunately. So it's attriting our numbers of them. But you have to look into, like, oh, hey, yeah, Pakistan, if you were to really train up and keep your aircraft flying, every 2 years or every 3 years, you'd lose one F-16. And the pilot may be able to eject and get out safely, but you're going to lose at least one F-16. They can't afford that level of attrition. And that's what I'm talking about, like with Ukraine. They can't afford to run all these Western, NATO, whatever you want to call it, equipment. That's why they're getting huge amounts of money and huge amounts of free stuff. They can't afford it. And, and we're giving them the stuff, and they're using it. And hooray for that, and good. It just they're not good exemplars of how well this works, because they just don't know how to use it like we know how to use it. And like high tempo of operations. And yeah, okay, well, let's get back. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals, and if it's not welcome back, but welcome. I hope I'm earning your subscription. This is, of course, Gamer 1745, and we are playing Hearts of Iron 4's Black Ice, which radically changes the game. It's near to a total conversion type mod, so some of the stuff that holds true doesn't in this. And I'm still learning this, and I've been evaluating this mod, and so far I'm very pleased. Lots and lots of problems that I see and I talk about, but very pleased overall. And I think even the developers would acknowledge that because they're still working on it, that there's a lot to still be developed when it comes to this mod, and things better balanced and fixed and whatnot. Okay, you guys are coming here. Now, talking about strategy. Well, this is mostly a test playthrough to see if I want to spend the time to learn the details of this game. And so I was just asked about what strategy. Generally speaking, moving east. Beyond, yeah, sure, we have goals of Moscow, Leningrad, whether I don't know if Stalingrad has some sort of, if you take it, a particularly surrender more likely or not. But yeah, generally to push east. We are at September. We are very early. We are very early into the invasion. We started late because of probably my biggest complaint is the amount of time it takes to do each national focus. They've increased so many. They need to shorten the time to be able to do some of that stuff. So yeah. So we're generally just moving east. We're seeing how this goes. We're seeing how this plays. I've yet to fully play and learn and do a game in which my dream is to finally have a game that doesn't need artificial, oh, hey, yeah, because what about 2 years ago got me to stop playing this mod was they had either benefits for the Soviets and or penalties for the Germans just right in here, and suppose it got worse. Oh, well, gamer, you just needed to learn how to play better, blah, 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 blah. Well, I want to play a historically based game, and right now it's doing that, in that Germany overran the Soviets, because we can just talk about how a German division, part of it is this, part of it is this, with things like this, radios, things like more trucks, even on a basically infantry division, where most transport is being done, well, reconnaissance equipment, correct. You know, with horse transport, but a little bit of needed vehicle transport, as well as this command control that allowed a German division to be much more effective than a same or similar sized formation of Soviet forces. So, and we can talk a finer points of them, and I think the Mauser rifle is much better than the Mosin Nagant. But, and these guys are even using one captured Mosin Nagant, and somehow 3 MOS 36s. Of course, they would not be doing it, especially the MOS 36, different calibers and whatnot. But on a scale of a battalion of men, equal numbers equipped with these two, you know, rifles, there's not that much difference. You know, I would, you know, I would much rather have a Mauser rifle than a Mosin Nagant. But I wouldn't feel like, oh my God, they've got Mausers and we just got Mosin Nagant. Now, if they had M1 Garands and I have a bolt-action rifle, that'd be a different matter. But just on the idea, and we could talk about the one bolt-action rifle that does sort of have enough difference, which being the Enfield with its 10-round capacity. I might argue that that additional capacity is enough to that's going to be good. So we're going to add these guys and push up like that. These guys are coming across and these guys are coming that way. So this gets you into the idea of that the Germans were just so much more effective at this stage. And it's just really exhaustion and infrastructure problems that keep them from having total victory early on. And that's what I want it to be in this game. Again, not some crazy artificial penalties, but practical things like you guys. You and bullet side, which is mostly unmotorized. You go that way. You guys hit there and see what we can do. Okay, now we are across and we are pushing there. These guys are going to see about racing right around like that. They are motorized. These guys are pushing in through here. So over there, good. Cross over there. And so what I want to stop me is, you know, conditions from just overrunning, because that's what happened. That's the type of reality that they faced. We were reducing this pocket good. That had been over 7 divisions. These guys are all trying to get across that river. Another division is across. Very good. Okay, you start pushing that way. We just got a few more across. You start pushing up that way. You can support that attack. You go into there. You push down to curse on. Counterattack. So these are the easy times, the happy times. The question is, will Italy be able to hold down here? Well, so far it's now being pushed pretty hard by just a few British divisions. And no counterattack there, so yeah. Wonder how it'll be when the Americans show up into the war. Now, we continue to move along the railways. Oh good, okay, so this pocket, there was probably 10 or more divisions there that were crushed. Let's select these division here, and you continue on up to there. You continue on up to there. You start moving north that way, I think. Okay, so they're pushing out that way. We'll keep coming here. We'll push along there. You counterattack. You push that way. You're getting pushed back. Okay, well. Well, let's see if we can go up and take Narva. There we go. Good path. You counterattack there. You fell back there, I gather. All of you cross the river. You, at your motorized, we're gonna send you to here. Get past this. Non-motorized divisions just get to push straight into those guys. Well. Panzer's up around this way. No, no, no. Armor, come south. Well, I guess you can come this way through here. You'll probably go a bit faster. What? No, no. One of these divisions. Yeah, keep going this way. Keep pushing east. Keep pushing north. Keep pushing. Okay, what? There's the motorized. There. Okay, you, since you're all nice and motorized, you come down this way. You can take the northern part of Crimea. Push north there and push to south there. Bit of the pincer movement. We're getting reinforcements soon. We should be moving up. Turn our mountain fighters into swamp fighters. Okay, they got pushed back, so we're gonna send you in there. You're gonna come in here. Well, they're all coming across there, so that's good. Yeah, I see him pursuing us there. Well, I'm going to halt you and add your strength to that attack. There we go. Get across, you go there. And keep these guys from getting cut off. Uh-oh, this failed, did it? Okay, well, try it again. You guys should be moving. And now these guys should be moving. Zukov has been brought west. How are the... Oh, goody, the Italians are falling back. Very good. Yeah, temporarily they've cut off my Panzer movement there. We have forces that are coming to relieve the situation. I'll get across river, you attack just to spoil that attack there. We are all the way to the test. Alright, well, this is pushing very far east very fast. Let's put you on trains to here. You're just gonna catch up. Okay, well. Actually, let's put you on trains and go that way too. Hello, Polat. I guess that's how you say that. I wonder if the Stalin line will be broken. We will see how well. The problem is that I don't know how well the AI knows to garrison deeper defenses that the human would. I am not suggesting in any real way that what I'm doing here would be effective against, or as effective against the human opponent. We're going to put just one division supporting that attack. Another division we're actually going to push north with, right there. Okay, now we got you here, so we're going to push into that province with two. Okay, we'll add an armor unit. And the other one I want to send straight into Kiev. You're going to support this attack. Okay, so we got Narva. These guys are being pushed back here. We can join the fight with them. Well, to everyone that's new here today, remember to either subscribe or follow as whether that's Twitch or YouTube. Do appreciate to see people around more often. Okay, well, we have free dockyards. So, no pause. I think just more subs. That's all we're really doing here. Okay. Oh, I know we're just, clock is slowly going forward, so we're still mostly building up the railways to see about keeping some supply going forwards, as we can see here. So we've gotten plenty right now going to Riga there. It's a little more difficult, more forward up here, but we're pushing along. Okay, so this is very weak railroads down through here for supplies. Yeah, if we get Sevastopol, that would help with the supply situation down there. All right, well, that's good. Okay, you can push there. You drive it and join your friends up there. Oh good, the great bulk of you are across that river. Looks like they're, well, let's send one division this way. Yeah, I know they're not having a good chance here, but what I'm trying to do is tie up all those units that will allow these guys to get across the river and cause more chaos and mayhem. Is everybody in Kiev yet? Oh, there we go. Fall of Kiev. Well, hey, you just watched the fall of Kiev. Okay. Well, they're counterattacking with some divisions. Okay, you're basically shattered, and so are you. You can help that situation there, and you can join there. Yeah, Romania, some land. Yes, we will do that. So, there we go. That's sort of Romania, Greater Romania now. We've taken away, well, we've given this to Bulgaria. We've given this territory up here to Hungary. Though it looks like they did get a little bit of Yugoslavia there. And of course, the Soviets had taken all of this. You got that back. Got a little bit up there. And they've got over here. This is sort of Greater Romania now. They should be happy with me. We have embargoed the Republic. Why? You guys keep on moving forward. You guys can push there. You can support that. Better overwhelm them than underwhelm them. You go back to marching and keep marching up that way. You can march into there. You're going to push that way. You're going to push over to help them. You're going to push up to help them as well. Okay, so you attack there. Yeah, that's well enough. You push there. You push up here as well. You push there. All right, we just took Smolensk, so we've done that. We've taken Narva, so we hold this side of the river there. And we, clean up a little bit of Estonia, and we are pushing down into Crimea. We need more strength down there. Oh, let's put you on rails and come down this way to reinforce that. Now, do we have any more division? No, no more divisions have been trained. So, Italy is being pushed back in North Africa. They've lost Sardinia and Corsica. And Japan is doing reasonably well against China. So that's the current state of the war. And I think we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank everybody. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, hope to see you next time. We'll be continuing with more, more Hearts of Iron. Okay, let's make a save. I think we're going to end this here today. Been having fun hanging out with you guys, talking about all kinds of good subjects. We will be back tomorrow. The plane models are also in Black Ice. Yeah, hello, Miska. Don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce that. Yeah, these are, I think, the standard plane models that we can see. If you're talking about the graphics, or are you talking about they are specifically for this historical models as they've interpreted them. I'm not looking too detailed at them, but yeah. So that answers your question. So I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. Tomorrow we're going to be doing some, I hope, War Thunder, but this I'm going to try to see if we can put together a platoon of 4 people and see if we can actually work as a platoon. Often we normally just play on the same map, sort of kind of in support to each other. So I'm going to see if we can, I don't know if the right term is enforce discipline, but to sort of try to keep things going like that tomorrow. So if you want to join that. And Monday, I'm going to be playing 2 games for Slytherin. So maybe you'll join me there. So thanks, everyone. Hopefully see you tomorrow or next weekend. Have a good day or evening. Okay, Toy Jet, hopefully you'll want to play some War Thunder maybe with us.